Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill.
That being said, Darth, I have a question for you Strat fans. What's the best Star Wars game you've ever played? That's right, it's Super Bombad Race. Oh, hold on. Wait a minute, I'm receiving new intel.
Execute Order 66.
It will be done, my lord.
Reinforcements are steady.
Hey, Strat fans, it's your boy here, Colonelstrat, the strategy extraordinaire, and today we're asking the age-old question, is Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2 strategic or not? Star Wars is a big deal for me. Having grown up on the prequel films and binge-watched the shit out of the originals, I am a Star Wars nerd at heart, and I was from day one, and I've never looked back. I'm making this video today because I recently caught wind of the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection coming out. It'll probably be out already when the video drops, but I feel like the time has come to show how Battlefront takes the FPS genre and makes it strategic. First of all, we gotta take a look at the classes. Each faction in the game, whether it be the Alliance, the Empire, Confederacy, or our glorious Republic, has a basic trooper class that fires a main rifle type weapon. Though they're not all the same, each one differs slightly in their firing. The super battle droid for the Confederacy, for example, has a tri-shot or a shotgun mode and a wrist rocket.
Watch those wrist rockets!
Good call, trooper. Even still, the rifle trooper's tactical purpose is the same across all factions. They lay down fire and push the objective, which is capturing command posts.
A command post is no longer under Empire control. We control a command post. Another command post under Republic control.
Moving on to the heavy trooper, this one is pretty universal, with each one being given a similar loadout, which include a rocket launcher, a blaster sidearm, grenades, and mines. The rocket launcher is pretty self-explanatory, as it's used to cripple vehicles, and if you hold your aim, you'll perform a lock-on rocket attack that guarantees to hit, and if you hit critical parts of the vehicle, you'll score double damage. As the heavy, it is tactically sound to place your shot and hit a critical point in the vehicle so you don't waste shots. They pack a blaster pistol for close encounters, and can lay down mines to block entrances and choke points, which is handy for watching your back. Next up is the sharpshooter class. Again, pretty universal, as they each pack a blaster sniper rifle, blaster pistol, grenades, and an auto turret. Now, as I said, these are all pretty universal gear-wise, with the skins being the highlight, as they feature the scout trooper, many clone skins, especially the Kashyyyk sniper, assault droid, and the only rebel female in the Alliance roster. Come on, all you degenerates, you know what you did when you saw this model in third person.
Yes!
All jokes aside, this class is the most frustrating to master in Battlefront. What do I mean by that? Well, come here, let me show you. You see, first you gotta find a good spot to snipe. You know, secluded, not too far away, good view of the action. Then you gotta line up your shots and hit them on the move. And you think your turret will be able to protect you the whole time, but little do you know the whole squad of bad guys completely abandoned the objective just to chase your ass down, and now you're defenseless and being overwhelmed and you gotta pop your sidearm in. Y'all see what I mean. Not to say sniping isn't fun in this game, because it sure is, but many players don't snipe in the conventional way. They prefer to snipe on the open plain rather than high up secluded, which to me is a letdown, because when you try to play secluded, it seems like the AI tracks onto you and you're forced to make a stand when you should be taking shots with your rifle. That aside, Battlefront 2 improves this a lot compared to the original, though it does happen from time to time. The turret, as I mentioned, can be a good way to watch your back, but it can be overwhelmed easily, so I usually leave it until I hear its loud shooting so it can alert me I have an enemy nearby. More of like an alarm system than a true defense. Now we move on to the engineer class. Oh, the sweet engineer class. This class is my bae. It's the support class, as we see in a lot of games like it that provide battlefield support to the troopers. The engineer comes with a fusion shotgun blaster, a fusion coil, health and ammo drops, and det packs, otherwise known as C4. While having only one primary weapon, the fusion blaster is a fantastic shotgun that allows the engineer to be up and close in the thick of the action with the rest of the troops, which strengthens his role. In this class, you will be the go-to for health and ammo primarily, but it helps to have the fusion cutter, as you can repair the health and ammo droids around the map, repair vehicles, and even splice enemies enemies out of their vehicles. This gives the engineer a more favorable light, as it's seen as a bringer of life, ammunition, and home. That's why I play this class more than anything. And as the droids, it's the only class that kind of looks like a regular B1, which is my favorite type of droid. But besides the point, it's a solid class. Hold on, I think I'm forgetting something. Oh right, of course. How could I forget the C4? Unlike the mines, the det packs are Star Wars' C4, as I've mentioned many times now. You place them, walk away, hit the same button again to detonate them, making ambushes the perfect tactical plan for the engineers. With that, we're done with the basic classes, but that's not all. If you play well enough, you'll unlock 2 bonus classes for each side, with the Republic having the Clone Jet Trooper and Clone Commander. These classes are unique in the way they fight, as it's obvious the Jet Trooper has a jetpack to gain altitude.
Watch your jet, bro. Watch your jet!
But its powerful arsenal is how it really shines. With the Jet Trooper, you're equipped with an EMP launcher, a deadly AoE blast effect weapon that's supposed to be the droidica killer. Alright, I said it was supposed to be, okay? The real kicker is the commando pistol. Firing faster than the standard pistol is good for making quick shots, and Jet Trooper players can maximize their shots faster than other classes, allowing them to gain the upper hand in a firefight. The EMP launcher and grenades are limited on a Jet Trooper, but the commando pistol is infinite, leading many Jet Trooper players to exclusively play with the commando pistol, myself included. Using the launcher for big targets, i.e. the droidica, the Clone Commander has an interesting weapon. Despite being skinned for my favorite clone legion, the Galactic Marines, who stomped Kiadi's bitch ass out in Revenge of the Sith, I rarely play this class, but that doesn't mean it's terrible. It can be fun. Your equipment is as follows: a shoulder-mounted Z6 chain gun, I know, awesome, a blaster pistol, a recon droid, and the rally ability. Now, for the big guns, it's not as overpowered as you think, as it takes a minute to charge up before attacking, so you gotta make sure you're a good range away, or at least decently safe before you start going. The ammo is infinite though, so you don't have to worry about that. I often find myself using the chain gun only for blobs or big units, otherwise I use the humble blaster pistol. And if I can get the award pistol, I'll be even happier. This one, however, can be seen as a droidica killer.
Let him cook!
Now before you crucify me, hear me out. The chain gun rapidly can drain a droidica's shield, which leaves it exposed, and since the chain gun can operate from a distance, that means you can weather away a droidica's shield before you get close. And if I've even killed one from full health before by just letting it rip to overheating, though that does leave you exposed. The blaster pistol is useful when it overheats and for close quarters, but the recon droid is pretty useless. It can damage droids with its self-destruct, but the damage is minimal. With the in-game map giving you precise locations of all the firing units, the need for a long-range reconnaissance like recon droid is pretty obsolete, in my opinion. The rally buff, however, can be a game changer if you use it correctly. When leading a squad of clones, or just in a crowd at spawn, hit this buff to give a defense increase to all the troops in the radius. This can save the life of your clones in a heated firefight, or just give them an edge to come out on top. Above all else, make sure you hit this whenever you find someone in a heated fight with allies. It's a nice clutch ability that won't trump skilled players, but can give you an competitive edge. Next up is the Empire.
Yo, dudes.
The Imperial's special classes are the Imperial Officer and the Dark Trooper. For the Officer's part, the Sonic Blaster is a unique and decent weapon, however its damage isn't sustainable in a direct one-on-one, but can be used to finish off enemies or cripple healthy enemies. The Grenade Launcher, however, is a superior choice weapon. The grenades explode on impact, if not charged up, but charging, it will launch it further, but delays the explosion. It's like making it travel a little bit, but you gotta weigh the risk. You know, it's not gonna explode immediately. This can be used to bounce it, and you can bounce the grenades up and over cover, but it can be better in a direct fight to use the impact mode. The recon droid he carries is similar to the Clone Commanders. It has the same self-destruct mechanism that can be used to weaken troops, but won't do anything significant. The big ticket item here is the rage buff. It's a damage buff that affects all nearby enemies, and it's imperative in an assault to have. It can tip the scales of battle in the Empire's favor with this buff. What the buff does is it buffs up your damage and anyone around you by 50%, so you're able to hit harder. It is imperative, and it's a very good buff. It only lasts 15 seconds, so you use it as soon as you make contact and you're able to push through. The Dark Trooper finishes the Imperial cast with the Arc Caster, Commando Pistol, grenades in his classic jump pack. The Arc Caster can seem a little underpowered in certain situations, typically in an open fight. When the Dark Troopers, with them having a smaller health pool than other units, they can get outmatched even by common rebel troopers. But if you use the charge up on the Arc Caster, you have a chance to spread the electric pulse to multiple enemies, just like Palpatine intended. The commando pistol will find its spot in most open engagements with the Dark Trooper for its superior rate of fire, and your jump pack should always be used to get you out of trouble more than scaling buildings. Remember, while this is close to the clone Jet Trooper, the jump pack does a quick burst, but not a slow glide like the Jet Trooper's pack. So its use is best suited to getting over obstacles or out of trouble. For the Confederacy, the Big Bag Magna Guard and its roly-poly cousin, the Droideka, round out the cast. The Magna Guard brings an excellent weapon known as the Bulldog RLR, otherwise known as the Magna Guard rocket pistol for those who don't look up the wiki. This fires explosive rockets that can be locked onto targets and is excellent at dealing with infantry, turrets, vehicles, you name it. Before you ask, these aren't the electrostack wielding guards from episode 3. They, however, bring a curious secondary, the radiation launcher. This grenade launcher instantly kills infantry if it hits them, and its explosive AoE, though small, can hit multiple units, and destroy turrets and do some damage to vehicles. The special buff they carry is called Neurotoxin. I know, sounds evil as can be. Just saying that makes me think I'm about to commit war crimes playing as this unit. But in practice, this is just a small damage AoE around the Magna Guard, which, considering most engagements are medium to long, wouldn't come in play too often, unless you're getting into enemy's face with your rocket launcher pistol. The Magna Guard does have the recon droid like the other two, and just like the previous ones, it does little to help the gameplay.
You suck!
The crowning jewel of the Separatists is the Droideka.
Where are those droidicas?
These hulking ball boys pack a lot of damage in their twin laser cannons. Being a Droideka, you have the ability to crunch and fold yourself into a ball and get out of tight situations. But the Droideka itself is pure defense. With its shield and heavy cannons, it can shred infantry units while staying safe inside its shield bubble. This can effectively lock down a choke point or command post, and that's where Droidekas play best. With infinite ammo and shield, it's no wonder these blasty balls are considered the most overpowered unit in the game. They do have weaknesses to exploit, though, so listen up, troopers. They have a wide and long turn animation, which makes flanking the optimal choice. They also take a minute to set up, so hitting them before they're up to deploy their shield is also a good way to deal with them. Any unit, like the clone commander that can fire a lot of shells into the Droideka, can deplete its shield fast, and once depleted, their health is subpar, but they can fire their twin cannons for a while, so all in all, you gotta be quick to take out a Droideka. Looking to the Alliance, their units are real unique, being the Bothan Spy and the Wookiee Warrior. Hey, the Bothan Spies didn't all die this time. Oh, geez, tough crowd. Anyways, these sneaky units have a very awesome sounding weapon, the Incinerator. This weapon is not as powerful as its name is. However, it can destroy groups of enemies and should be used as such. However, the Bothan has relatively low health compared to the other classes, and the secret to them is stealth. In place of a secondary, they can go ninja mode. This is critical to the Bothan's playstyle, as they can sneak around enemy lines to help to take people out. This works best against units with the recon drone or small groups of troops, but another tool in their arsenal is the time bombs. These bombs can be placed well in stealth and can decimate groups of units. In total, the Bothans are a huge risk and reward type of style. They can be rewarding for a challenge depending on your preferred playstyle, but they also have a weakness with their health, and the Incinerator does a little bit of an effect after you hit a target with it, but if you don't fully go on for 15 shots, you're not going to kill anyone. It's going to whittle them away, and you have to decloak to use it, so you got to make sure that when you strike, you're ready to switch back and go right back into stealth. So it takes a lot of finesse to play a Bothan Spy, but if you do it right, you're going to be a winner. Finally, we come to the Wookiee Warrior, the last of the cast. The Wookiee Warrior lives up to the hype, being the tankiest unit in the game. With more health than standard troops and at least double that of snipers and Bothans, it's safe to say we should
Let the Wookiee win.
Well said, 3PO. The main armament in the Wookiee's arsenal is their iconic bowcaster, a shotgun-type blaster that fires a spread shot on single tap for Battlefront 2. Battlefront 1 was a single shot for one tap and a spread shot for multiple. And then if you charge it up in Battlefront 2, it's a single powerful burst, and that burst can one-shot units mostly. The Wookiee also comes packing with a grenade launcher. The Wookiee can lob these grenades farther with charging them like the Magna Guards, but just like the Magna Guards and the Imp Officers, it takes longer. The Wookiee packs more grenade throwables and a recon droid, which you can ignore as it really doesn't help the warrior that much and leaves him vulnerable to attack. The Wookiee does have a drawback, with that being its height. It's an easy target for high damage snipers with its height that makes it pop up behind cover, so you're able to easily hit them, and it's a big moving target. In Battlefront 1, they move very slow too, so you can hit them pretty easily in Battlefront 1. But Battlefront 2, they're able to sprint, so that drawback's not as heavy. But it makes up for this drawback with being able to withstand a lot of punishment before it goes down. Before I finish this section, I want to talk about Battlefront 1 for a moment. I've been talking about the sequel for a while and classes, and that's because they're most defined and unique in the sequel. In Battlefront 1, they were more balanced, with only one special class per faction, but there were a couple units that I feel got shafted in the sequel. Those being the Sharpshooter class and the Imperial Dark Trooper. I know I can't mess with perfection in the Dark Trooper.
Perfection.
But the Sharpshooter used to have a recon drone instead of a turret, and before you say, oh, here comes another dingy recon drone that self-destructs, bitch. This one has a fucking orbital strike beacon. That's right, you can call in the Hellfire in Battlefront 1 with the Sniper class. I know why they removed it, because of balancing, but it still leaves me sad in my heart. The Dark Trooper had a better weapon suited for its close quarters role, which was like a shotgun, basically similar to the Super Battle Droid's Trigun, and it allowed you to do the tactic of just jumping in, getting close to the enemy, and just shooting them with the spread shotgun, getting them all. I know it's not as cool as pretending you're Palpatine lightning gun, but it was more practical and could hit targets farther away, and I feel like it shafted its usefulness in the sequel with this change. Now that we've been over the classes, let's discuss another strategic part to Battlefront. Its map layout. The maps in Battlefront cover all your favorite Star Wars planets, from the jungles of Felucia and Kashyyyk, the same old dingy sand rock we keep returning to in the franchise, Tatooine. Why do we keep returning to this dust bowl of a planet? It doesn't even have anything important on it. It's just a big old dust bowl in space. Why is it so important? There's a plethora of different locales and scenery to immerse yourself in. It's a Star Wars lover's wet dream. But let's break down the maps for a sec to talk about their tactical premise. It's easy to look at them and find the main engagement area. For example, let's look at the Coruscant Jedi Temple map in Battlefront 2. This map is a classic. You, me, and even your old decrepit grandma played this map back in the day. It was here that we all experienced Battlefront's most disturbing mission as well.
What I remember. Perhaps, but no one said a word. Not on the flight to Coruscant, not when Order 66 came down, and not when we marched into the Jedi Temple. Not a word.
If we take a good look at this map, we can see the spawn points for both sets of factions are spread out equally. The droids/rebels start in the map room just outside the main temple grounds, while the Republic Empire starts in the Holocron Vault, where Yoda and Obi-Wan witness Anakin's fall in Revenge of the Sith. As a side note, all the maps are chock full of Easter eggs to the films. I dare you to find all of them, Strat fans. Anyway, back on track, we have this area, the courtyard. That's the main engagement area, whether you're playing online or with bots. It will be the biggest point where the battle occurs. However, there are multiple ways of attack that can flank the enemy's position. As the droids/rebels right out of spawn, you can take the route right up the back way to the Jedi meeting room command post, thus cutting a path straight to the High Council Chambers command post, avoiding the bloodbath in the courtyard. The veranda outskirts command post could be a good fallback point as well. For the Republic Empire, you can open a second front by taking another right, heading through the data center by your starting command post, and take the library command post, allowing your troops to surge out of there into the main courtyard position, doubling your firepower in the courtyard. Or you can walk past the High Council Chambers and make your way to the meeting room command post, and then, in my experience against the AI, they rarely send troops through these flanking points, just as a side note, as they mostly participate in the bloodshed in the courtyard. So, you should have little resistance on these paths, at least in offline. A multiplayer, I bet you most of them will know about these choke points. From the meeting room, just like the route that our droids took to flank the clones, you can take it to take out their primary command post at the map room and permanently force the droid to the veranda, which would lock them out of the courtyard, allowing your team to make use of all the cover in the courtyard to your advantage. As you can see, the game gives you multiple flanking options and ways to shift the battle in your favor. Sure, you could just be an idiot and charge into the courtyard.
Dragons!
But to think tactically and capture crucial command posts to get behind or around the main engagement is the epitome of a sound tactical move. Now, this is only one map. There are a ton of different maps that have very strategic options on it, like Geonosis having a vantage point command post that's superb for sniping, or a tunnel system to flank around a command post to get at the separatist backs, or Naboo having command posts all around the main courtyard to become prime real estate for flanking options.
It's free real estate.
The Death Star having panels you can destroy to close bridges and shut off entire paths from the enemy.
They're deactivating the bridge. Evade the bridge. Roger, roger.
But I think the most memorable choke point in the series has to be in Battlefront 1. Bespin platforms, baby. This is the original meat grinder, as we all knew. What separated the strong from the chaff here? That damned hallway bridge. It's claimed so many Battlefront lives over the years, and today sits at the top of the best attrition maps ever. There's one way, one walkway. That's where the boys became the men in Battlefront 1. But as I talk about Battlefront 1 maps, it's time to take a look at another aspect of play: the vehicles. Now let's talk vehicles. In Battlefront, the old school Battlefront, not the more current one, vehicles could be found all over the map, spawned in and are the first come, first serve in the originals. There were air vehicles as well as ground vehicles in the first one, but there were no space battles. With Battlefront 2, unfortunately all the air vehicles for ground missions were removed and put to space. Aww. I know, what a shame. But anyways, the vehicles in Battlefront are no joke. Some are hulking armored tanks like the AT-TE and AT-AT. These ones in particular are so massive that they serve as mobile command posts. That means they open up a whole new tactic seen in ground and space battles, as if you're able to move these big monsters to enemy command posts and you can quickly overwhelm them when your teammates spawning on you. The biggest strategy using this, however, is in space combat, but we'll get to that one later. The smaller vehicles like ATSTs, TX-130 hover tanks, and AATs, and so on, are the medium tanks of Battlefront. Use them to plug holes and choke points to deny the enemy access to different routes of approach. These also pack a punch, as well as most of them have 2 or more positions for gun emplacements, and the driver usually has blaster cannons and a heavy weapon like missiles to take out bigger threats. The TX-130 and AAT are the best, as both have 2 seats, multiple weapons, and maneuverability on the battlefield, making them excellent tanks to take on both armored and infantry targets. Plus they're hover tanks, so they slide! Moving on to the smaller vehicles, you got speeders, such as the Bark and Scout Speeder. Super fast whizinators that zoom over the battlefield. Just be careful and watch out for that tree. These speeders, if used correctly, can get you deep behind enemy lines to take command posts, and are used almost solely for that fact, or for just looking cool. Unlike in the movies, hitting something with them won't make them explode instantly, but it will damage it, and the speeders have limited health, so watch out while you're driving. They have limited armament, and their biggest draw is the ridiculous speed they provide. Finally, single-person walkers, like the AT-RT and the tractor-light armored tank droid, are a nice light vehicle option with a heavy blaster and explosive launcher. Though, to be fair, the armored tank droid is pretty powerful for its role, but it's still, the AT-RT can take it out pretty easily, so that's why I classed them together, because they still kind of counter one another. Overall, these vehicles provide a nice layer of depth to the gameplay and allow many more tactics to be used with them, like access denial, explosive assault, and deep striking with speeders. Use what you've learned and make sure to
Use the Force, Luke.
To use the most out of your vehicles the map provides you. For Battlefront 1, an exciting thing about certain maps were the neutral factions.
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
It's an interesting side of the original Battlefront that pits a second faction against the main 2, but mostly the neutral factions serve as reinforcement for one side or the other. These are the Geonosians on Geonosis, Wookiees on Kashyyyk, Gungans on Naboo, and Ewoks on Endor, just to name a few. But there is one neutral faction that actually holds command posts and acts as a native force in the match, the Tusken Raiders. These boys in the Dune Sea map can hold yellow command posts that spawn their native units and fight both sides equally. It creates a chaotic scene on the Battlefront. It is something I wish I saw in the other games. By adding this neutral faction, the Dune Sea map takes on a whole new tactical element in Battlefront 1, as you can put pressure on your enemy and force them towards the natives, or use your superior firepower to obliterate them, hold on just a sec. Do y'all realize that this game from 2004 has us killing natives with primitive weapons with our futuristic tech? Man, this is a war crime if ever I saw one. All that aside, the addition of this neutral faction gives you a unique opportunity in this map to use them as a buffer against your enemy. Plus, it adds some chaos into your plans and the enemy's plans also. What it really does is amp up the fun factor. It's so sad that this didn't make a return in future releases of the franchise, but I have hope that if Battlefront 3 would ever be made, I know fool's hope, but if it were to be made, that they'd add more maps with neutral factions. They had neutral units like the Gamorreans on Jabba's Palace, and the story missions in Battlefront 1 had some neutral factions you fought against. Or you'd have, like I said, the Geonosians that would help out, but the only ones that actually held territory were the Tuscans in the Dune Sea map for Battlefront 1. Now it's time to talk about the heavy hitting mode from Battlefront 2. The space The space battles in Battlefront 2 were a breath of fresh air the franchise needed at the time. While Battlefront 1 had aircraft, they were strictly put on ground maps, and no space combat existed in the original. But the sequel overhauled this and brought all those aircraft to the space scene with a new mode, Assault. Now there's a lot of tactical flavor in this mode, as well as both teams start on a capital ship and get to choose between two classes, the pilot and the Marine.
Personally, I feel the Marine is superior to the pilot as he always packing more heat with a rifle and rocket launcher, but go ahead and choose that pussy pilot if you want to suck.
Sorry. What I meant to say was both classes are equally tactical sound to choose. The pilot, for example, comes with a pistol, fusion cutter, and time bombs. These are pretty universal across the factions. The pilots rule space. They have the ability to heal your ships while in flight.
Bad news. What? It's delayed. Oh no. Anyway.
Once landed, they can repair ships, set time bombs on enemy critical systems, and even repair your own ship's official systems. But doing so by yourself might put you at a disadvantage. In solo play, as the enemy might get ahead in your absence. The super chat of space battles, however, to me, is the Marine.
The few, the proud, the Marines.
The Marine class comes packed with a blaster rifle, rocket launcher, grenades, and a pistol. They are suited best for boarding parties. The best strategy to use for them is grabbing your faction's dropship and use it as a command post. Fly it to the enemy's hangar, land, and spread out across the ship, killing virgin pilots easy peasy lemon squeezy, and destroying their internal systems with ease, scoring many points. This strat is premium, and I've won many space battles through boarding. But let's talk about the fighter combat, as there is some tricks to that as well. You have a tight collection to choose from for ships. You have the dropship, as I mentioned before, for boarding, your basic fighter, interceptor that flies fast and specializes in taking out slower ships, and the bomber that specializes in, you guessed it, bombing the enemy capital ship.
Enemy bombers are incoming. Repeat, enemy bombers are incoming.
The basic fighter comes with laser cannons and proton torpedoes, making them ideal for ship-to-ship combat, as well as taking out larger targets such as the frigates or boarding craft. One trick you should know is how to roll.
Do a barrel roll.
For controller peasants, this is by using the directional buttons on the D-pad to roll your ship. If you're a master racer like myself, you can use the Alt keys, the left Alt, and the right Alt keys for each direction. This is an imperative move to learn in starfighting, as it removes any tracking projectiles when you roll. It helps keep the enemy from scoring an easy kill on you and allows you to reposition to get a clearer firing angle. The interceptor comes packed with rapid fire laser cannons and missiles that can track. Tracking projectiles is the best way to score hits on an enemy ship, but take time to line it up, because even the AI can perform barrel rolls to shake them off. So you gotta get the timing right. If you lead your shots in space, you can have a better chance at hitting your target as well. For those of us who don't use aim assist in space, it can be an incredibly challenging experience, because as like I've said, you gotta learn to pace your shots to hit. But dogfighting in these fighters feels so great when you finally take care of that pesky vulture droid or TIE interceptor.
Picked up a vulture.
Rounding out the ships is the bomber. Slow and menacing, but with a bomb bay full of munitions to drop on its target. This is the ship you take when you want to destroy the enemy vessel. However, its speed makes it an easy target for fighters. If you're not careful, and its barrel roll is super slow too, the bombers to me are the ones that differ most faction to faction, such as the clone V-Wing compared to the droid bomber. The V-Wing drops bombs in twos, and the droid bomber does it all at once, allowing the droid bomber to hit its target faster than the V-Wing. So for me, I usually steal a droid bomber to hit their own ship in the prequel space battles. The TIE bomber and Y-Wing bomber for the Imperials in Alliance are pretty similar, firing in 2 bomb bursts. The only difference is the Y-Wing has, in my opinion, a better defense cannon, as it's able to fire quicker and longer than the TIE bomber, even though the TIE's cannon is more powerful. Space combat in and of itself is a spectacle, and it's an awe-inspiring mode that many Star Wars fans see as what makes Star Wars, well, Star Wars. Now we move on to the grand scale, the big picture. The massive map I'm talking about, of course, Galactic Conquest. Galactic Conquest takes the mode Conquest and turns it into a board game of sorts, with planets to take and turns to go through. The game mode has one goal: conquer the galaxy, and covers all the maps in Battlefront 2, with the capitals being the faction's homeworlds. Camino is for the clones, Geonos is for the droids, Endor for the Empire, and Hoth for the rebels. Taking control of one faction, you start turn 1 with 1 fleet, a few planets, and 1 soldier type unlocked, the main soldier. In this mode, you gotta unlock each unit to play with using credits.
We've got to have money.
Credits are earned by taking planets, defending planets, and at the end turn by how many planets you own. So for units I unlock first, I usually go with utility. For example, if you're planning on attacking on a map that you know has vehicles, it would be good to get the heavy trooper first for some easy rockets, or to get the marksman for some snipers to thin out the infantry is always a good option. But universally, I get the engineer, and not just because I love him, but also because first, he's a field medic. He can repair health and ammo droids and drop his own health and ammo for you guys. It's a good option to get your medics up first so that they can, heal your guys and have some battlefield support. It can mean the difference between victory and defeat if you're able to get some drops. Of course, you're still able to pick up drops that enemies drop when they die, but having a dedicated unit for that always helps. Plus, I'm good with the medic, so I usually do that. But my advice would be to get the class that you're best at first. Buying the Marine first turn may seem like a waste, but you wouldn't believe the amount of space battles you'll fight in Galactic Conquest, and having a good boarding force will seal the deal in many of these space battles as well. Next, we go on to the bonuses. Each turn, you get to choose bonuses that can be activated every time a battle starts. These bonuses include a wide range of benefits for your faction, and all are strategically sound, but this is where the most strategy is involved. Do you use a leader bonus or a garrison? What bonus would benefit me most for this map? These are questions you should be asking yourself as you choose. Now let's get into each one as I tell you what they are. Starting off with the energy boost bonus. This bonus is kind of lackluster in my opinion, as it only boosts your stamina pool, being that your meter boosts up slowly after being depleted. I usually never use this one as it's only viable for rushing, but doesn't give any bonus other than stamina. Next is the supplies bonus, which allows you and your team to carry more ammunition. Funnily enough, this also applies to vehicles, and I usually use this one to pull off a boarding party and get the internal systems destroyed in one go without having to restock, because mama didn't raise no 2-trip bitch. Next up is the all-powerful garrison bonus. This bonus is ideal for maps you'll have a disadvantage on, as it acts like a get-out-of-jail-free card with an additional 30 troops tacked onto your reinforcements once you hit 30. The auto turns bonus is for those moments you feel like your AI companions or your real ones are useless, meaning you keep getting corner camped by one enemy and you gotta keep taking a CP that just becomes a big problem. The back to tanks bonus is useful to me only on maps with a lot of cover, as you can regenerate from a hit, but only if you're not getting hit constantly, as it is a slow regen. And yes, this does nothing to your AI, who will just run out into the open and die just as fast as they would without it. The combat shielding bonus is an interesting one. It gives roughly about 25%, give or take, more health to each soldier spawned in, and in theory could help you turn the tide as your troops can take more hits, but that doesn't incur accuracy and all that. And in the grand scheme of things, I think it works most in space battles or on maps with cover, again, as it gives you more survivability, but your teammates will still walk out into enemy fire all the time and die the same. The sabotage bonus is a godsend against any vehicle heavy map. Say you're taking on the droids on Geonosis. You could do a garrison to get some extra troops, maybe back to a combat shielding for extra defense. But Geonosis is mostly an open map, so that won't really do you that much good. Instead, you scuff all these separatist tires on their free rides, huh? Now what are they going to do? In reality, this brings all your enemy vehicles to very low meaning. They're easier to take out, so I always pick this one when I know I'm going to face a lot of enemy vehicles. The Enhanced Blasters bonus is a nice damage buff for your team and could give you the edge you need to come out on top of maps that have a bias against your side, such as the maps with hostile natives on your enemy's side. It ups the ante on the blasters, so you can just keep blasting.
I started blasting. Bang! Bang!
Finally, the hero bonus does as intended, lets you play as your faction's hero on the map. Unfortunately, it doesn't work in space, as no heroes in space battles for Battlefront 2, but this is the ultimate clutch play to spawn your hero in immediately. Just be careful with him, as you can only use him once, so do it and cause as much damage as possible, because if you die off early, then it's like it was never there.
And just like that, it's gone like an angel's kiss.
These bonuses are what make Galactic Conquest feel so strategic and thought out in a simple way, because it adds nice bonuses that tip scales in your favor. But you can only use them when you buy them, and you may want to spend your credits on units or fleets as well, so you gotta really strategize your spending in this game mode, at least in the early game. As you get later on in the game, you'll have so many credits from amassing so many planets that you'll be able to churn out a lot. And then as you unlock your units, you're not gonna be spending on units, so you can just spam up your bonuses, but you can only hold 3 at a time, so make sure you pick the right ones. Now we move on to awards. You can receive awards playing the game. Specifically, you win these by killing and scoring points in one life, kind of like rewarding you for being a Rainbow Complex, which your allies will comment on as you do it.
Great shooting, Trooper! Looks like you got this down. I've lost count. How many does that make? Great shooting! Mow them down. Keep going, keep going! Just like the simulation. It's a good thing you're on our side.
One Imperial call-out was kind of disturbing though, not gonna lie.
Yeah!
Anyway, they provide certain bonuses for that life, and if you rank them up from green to legendary, you can get them quicker or even spawn in with them unlocked. The first one is called Endurance. This award triggers after scoring 12 points by killing or capturing some command posts. Endurance is a C tier award, only giving you enhanced stamina regen, which in Battlefront 2 is not that good. It just allows you to sprint more. So bottom of the bin with this one.
Trash.
Next up is Guardian, which gives you a protective bubble around your trooper, just like a droideka. This drastically reduces your incoming damage, and I like to hit it as soon as possible on certain maps, as it can be a lifesaver to obtain. As far as I know, it persists till you die, like the rest, but I can't be sure, as some say it does fade in time. It takes 24 points to obtain this bonus from killing or command posts. The next one is called War Hero, and it gives you a damage buff. As you can see, it's a pretty hefty buff, allowing you to kill your target 50% faster, so it's very much worth. This buff, unlike the others, has a very short window, only about 15 seconds once activated, and it's similar in functionality to the rage buff that certain units give. It takes 36 points to achieve this buff, so get to work. The first of the weapon awards is Frenzy, achieved after 12 kills with a blaster rifle, and awards you with a special weapon, the Elite Rifle. This rifle fires a purple projectile that instantly kills any unit on the receiving end. As long as you hit all shots into them, they will die, guaranteed. It effectively turns you into a super soldier. Following this award is Marksman, which is a little trickier to achieve. You gotta get headshots. Sure, it's only 6 in one life, but the way the AI moves in the game, you will seldomly get a group of them to stand still unless you're playing on normal, I guess. But who plays on normal, guys? Come on. Anyway, with this award you unlock the Beam Rifle, which fires a beam just like in Halo that instantly shreds anything in its path. Honestly, I'd say it's better than the Elite Rifle. Alright, but you gotta admit that it can be satisfying. However, it is extremely limited in the ammunition, having only about 24 shots in total. But you can swing the beam from side to side, allowing you to hit multiple targets, and the beam also penetrates straight through up to 5 troops, making it a great killer. Next is Demolition, awarded after 4 rocket launcher critical hits in one life. That's just critical hits, meaning you don't have to get kills, just hit the weak points to get this one, and it awards one of the hardest weapons to master, the remote rocket launcher, which fires, get this, remote rockets.
You suck.
Anywho, these homing rockets are powerful, but can be difficult to steer, and sometimes I prefer my old rocket launcher to it because they can be so difficult. But they do pack more of a punch, and since they're remote, a good strat that could be used for it is to shack up with an ammo droid and just fire away and let him replenish as you wipe the field, as they can be good against groups of enemies when used right. Next up is Regulator. It's what we engineered chads have to look forward to in an award, as it's awarded for 8 shotgun kills in a life. And the award is the Flechette shotgun, I hope I said that right. A weapon with reduced spread, more shots and damage, and more ammo, making this a clear upgrade for us shotgun enthusiasts.
Hold up there, Buster.
The final weapon one is Gunslinger.
It's high noon.
This one is for all classes with a pistol and is awarded with 6 kills with a pistol. This awards the precision pistol to you and is infinitely better than the old everyday pistol in every way. But ammo, more damage, further shots, and a cooler sounding effect. The final award is called Technician, and it's awarded for pulling one of the most memeable tactics in Battlefront history, slicing a vehicle. It awards a nice vehicle regen buff that is small but significant and help you stay alive in vehicles. Granted, still on the same life. Those awards have certain levels as you earn them more. Leveling them up unlocks them both quicker, and if you reach max legendary status, you get to unlock them permanently whenever you spawn. This makes any long-played player able to have these overpowered weapons all the time, and it makes a good strategy that before hitting multiplayer, if they ever fucking fix it, it's wise to earn all those to legendary so you can spawn with overpowered weapons, though I'm not sure if it allows that in multiplayer. That would be worth checking out in the remaster. Finally, we come to the heroes. Since playing Battlefront 1, I always wondered if we got to experience throwing a lightsaber around, killing troopers, and by golly, Battlefront 2 delivered. The heroes all have their quirks and each round out to be pretty powerful with enhanced blasters, lightsabers, and the ability for saber heroes to block anything at 360 arc. It's amazing to play as one, and you gotta do well enough to get the chance. Once you have them, you gotta kill. The only way to gain health is through slaying enemies as a hero, so you should be as aggressive as possible with them, but not too aggressive as you could fly off the edge of the map and die. Each saber hero comes with force abilities, unless you're General Grievous.
Fine addition to my collection.
He gets buffs like Rage and a sweet charging animation, so I give that a pass. But each Jedi and Sith has powers like Force Push, Lightning, and Choke that help round out their gameplay. Personally, Lightning is the best for crowd control, while Force Push is the best situationally for shoving people off cliffs. The Force Choke ability is more for isolating an enemy, like a very powerful enemy like another hero. You can lock them down with the Force Choke as long as you have stamina. So that's why I use that one. The blaster heroes like the Fets
on the job.
have multiple weapons to choose from to increase their tactical ability and usually come with a buff like Grievous's and a bomb ability which helps them out in dealing with crowds. All in all, the heroes are a power trip, and if ever you're graced by God to see this message, for the love of all that is holy, press yes. Unless you want to be a total Chad.
Don't need no heroes, I'll be the hero all by myself. Yeah, fuck yeah, get some.
And that about wraps it up, ladies and gentlemen. Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2. Are they strategic? Yes. Why the fuck wouldn't they be, you filthy casual? Anyway, I hope you learned a lot about every Star Wars fan's favorite game here, from the classes to the modes and the heroes and the wards. There's a lot that makes these games tactical masterpieces, and every time I play them, it challenges my brain to find the best route. Choose the right option, and these situations will pop up to you more and more as you play. Above all else, though, the game is fun and challenging at its core, and that's what we love about it, right? That's how I could sit down for a while and talk about it, because it's pure enjoyment. So what are you waiting for, dudes?
Get out there
and blast some droids. Get the rebel scum.
Take out the imp officer.
And get those. So I hope y'all enjoyed this one as much as I did creating it for you. This video took a lot of time and effort to craft, and I really hope y'all like it. The game had such an impact on my life as a child that I felt I had to do it justice with a longer video to really show y'all the passion I have for it. Well, that's all I got for today, Strat fans. Remember to
join me
in the Discord server, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy, leave a comment down below what your favorite class in Battlefront is, and like the video as it helps me battle the Sith-controlled YouTube algorithm. That's all for me, Strat fans. Colonel out.